don't know one person that has not been affected by this pandemic. Everybody's affected in some form or fashion, and it's causing so many people to have to face major unexpected changes right now. So today, we're going to talk about change. We're going to talk about how to handle the inevitable changes that are happening right now, that are happening to everybody right now, and give some really practical things you may need to look at changing in your business and changing in your life, and how emotional intelligence plays into this. What does change look like from an emotional intelligence perspective?
Welcome to the EQ for Entrepreneurs podcast. Like most business owners, you already know you need good business and marketing strategies to scale and be profitable. But at some point, you've hit the dreaded wall where you feel stuck and frustrated. EQ for Entrepreneurs is for business owners and leaders who are honest enough to admit that they just might be the ones holding their business back and are brave enough to change that.
We're Noble and Kathy, and every week we're having candid conversations about all things emotional intelligence and how growing that has allowed us to get out of our own way and is radically transforming both our businesses and our personal lives. This is the secret sauce strategy for modern entrepreneurs who are tired of hustling without seeing results and want to grow a business and a life that they love. Hello, entrepreneurs, leaders, and influencers. Welcome to EQ for Entrepreneurs. So it is just me today because Noble is doing some preparation for an upcoming virtual conference that EQ for Entrepreneurs is going to be hosting. It's called the 360 Growth Week, and it's a whole conference just for people who are facing these really hard times that we're in with the coronavirus and the crisis. And a lot of people are facing financial issues, they're facing job issues, family, like everything is changing. Everything is changing. And so we pulled together some of the best people that we know how to pull together. And trust me, we have a pretty large network of people that we know. And we are creating a virtual conference so that you can learn what you need to know to grow in all areas of life, and not just make it through this coronavirus crisis, but really weather the storm well and thrive through it. So that's coming up. If you want to attend, we would love to have you. It's going to be April 13 through 17, 5 days. It's going to be Monday through Friday in the evening. You can check out all the details at eqforentrepreneurs.com/360 Growth Week. That's 360 Growth Week. And don't worry, the link will be in the show notes. Now, this is really important because today's topic is all about change and embracing the change that this crisis is bringing to us. Because here's the thing, at the time of this recording here in the US, we're in the middle of most of the states being on lockdown, meaning we're all stuck at our homes, we're self-isolating so that it can slow the spread of this coronavirus. And we've been isolating here in our house for 3 weeks now, like a lot of other people. Thankfully, we both already work from home. And so that has not been much of a change for us, but there have been definite changes. And I don't know one person that has not been affected by this pandemic. Everybody's affected in some form or fashion, and it's causing so many people to have to face major unexpected changes right now. So today, we're going to talk about change. We're going to talk about how to handle the inevitable changes that are happening right now, that are happening to everybody right now, and give some really practical things you may need to look at changing in your business and changing in your life, and how emotional intelligence plays into this. What does change look like from an emotional intelligence perspective? So here's the deal. Let's dive in. We have to understand and embrace the fact that change is inevitable, especially in today's world as we're all coping with it. And it's going to be change in a lot of different areas. change in our daily life, right? Just in the freedoms that we have to go out of our house and go do things, changes to the way that our children are having to go through school right now. A lot of people are finding themselves suddenly forced to be homeschooling in some form or fashion, and learning what that looks like. Maybe changes to your income, changes to finances, changes in our economy. They're going to be huge. And while we will get back at some point, that's the other thing that's a change, is nobody knows how long this is going to last, or when it's going to end, or what life is going to look like afterwards. And we know that at some point we'll get back to some form of new normal. History tells us that, but there's going to be permanent changes in society. There may be permanent changes in your what you do for a living, in your business, in your in your job, in your daily life. We don't know. That's the thing. Nobody knows right now. And here's the reality. Change has the potential to be very stressful. And studies have shown that even good change, even change that's planned, that's good, that you want in your life, it's still stressful. So let alone when change is unplanned and when change is forced on us by circumstances outside of our control, it has the potential to be even more stressful. And it can even get to the point where it completely shuts us down, where it completely affects our mental and emotional stamina in our health, and it affects how we show up in the world. It affects what we are physically able to do on a daily basis. It affects the way we view everything, and that can affect our health. And it turns into this big snowball. Here's the thing that we've learned as entrepreneurs. We've said before that we have been entrepreneurs through several major crises, none that were worldwide like this, but Y2K, we were entrepreneurs through the 9/11 attacks on the World Trade Center in our country, also through the 2008-2009 stock market crash. So we've seen hard times as business owners before, and this one is so much bigger on such a bigger scale. But here's the thing, the principles that we have learned about change and its inevitability and how to deal with it and how to grow through it, those principles don't change. And we have to be ready to change with the world. Here's the thing, entrepreneurs, leaders, influencers, hear me on this. The world is changing, and you have to be ready to change too. You do realize this, that change is inevitable, but growth is optional, right? The fact of the matter is the world's going to change anyways, even without not 9/11, even without the coronavirus, the pandemic, the shutdown, the economy, things were going to change because they always do. Nothing stays the same forever, right? So things were going to change. So we just need to embrace the fact that it was going to happen anyways. It's just happening way faster than any of us saw coming. So we have to decide that we're going to be a force for good and for health in the world. And we have to learn to be nimble in our mindset, to be agile in our mindset. If we get too stuck in cement, stuck in the cement of our thinking, the cement of a certain way of doing things, or a certain way of showing up, then we're going to miss opportunities. So let's talk about this. First of all, let's kind of dive into change from an emotional intelligence perspective. Change will evoke one of several different responses in people. And I'm going to encourage you to figure out which response the current climate of change is evoking in you. What are you feeling? Are you feeling fear? Maybe excitement. Maybe you're feeling it as stress or anger at the circumstances you can't control. Maybe you're just feeling stuck and shut down. Maybe you're feeling curiosity. And here's what's fascinating is that as I read through that little list, those are only 6 emotions. There's probably a whole other list of emotions that you may be or you could be feeling. What's so interesting is we can all feel different emotions to the same event, right? It's the same event that all of us are really facing right now, but your emotion might be different than the person next to you. And what controls those emotions? If you listened back to some of our podcasts, if you've been listening to podcasts, you know what controls those emotions is the thoughts that we think about it. So I would encourage you to figure out what is the emotion that this change is evoking in you. And then go back and say, well, what thought am I thinking about all this change that's causing me to have that emotion? And how can I experience a new emotion? What new thought could I come up with? Okay, so when it comes to our mindset and the way that we look at things, when it comes to recreating that thought, there's really two different places that our mindsets come from. Sometimes we have a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset is somebody who sees change as a threat, right? We see change as a threat because we tend to think that the status quo and the way things are we think of that as safety. And that if anything comes to disrupt or change that safety, then it must be a threat, right? That's a fixed mindset. And I'm telling you, I have been there this whole first week of the coronavirus kind of reaching the US and us having to go into self-isolation and all of that. It shut me down. I kind of just shut down. I felt like I was just in survival mode. And it took me almost a week to get my mind right and to say, okay, I have to start looking at this a different way. I got to shake out of this because this isn't helpful to be shut down. This is not helping me. How do I need to go back and change my mindset so that I can feel a different way? And I was able to do that. And so I said, okay, well, what mindset shift do I need to make here so that I can feel a different way, so that I now behave a different way and I'm not acting stuck anymore? And I'm telling you, that is freeing. It is freeing to be able to shift yourself out of that fixed mindset into a growth mindset. And a growth mindset is when you see change as opportunity, right? Even though this is a change that none of us wanted, none of us asked for, we would never in a million years dream that this could be our reality. Yet here we are. And so we can ask ourselves the question, what opportunity lies in front of me? And I'm going to say it again. Change is inevitable. Hear me well. This change is going to happen. It is already happening. And we don't know how much it's going to change, but growth is optional. That you do have a choice over. You do have control over that. You have control over how you are going to grow through this whole season of change. So again, how about you, right? What are the outcomes of the current thoughts that you've been thinking? What's the outcome of the feeling that those have been creating in you? And if you were to go back and change those, so now I challenge you, change that thought. So what was your thought before and how can you change it? Maybe your thought was, oh no, my business is going to go under. Or, oh no, I can't make money like this. Or, oh no, nobody's going to be able to buy my product or service. Okay, so all of those thoughts, they might be very real thoughts. I'm not saying that they're not real. And they are just thoughts, but all of those produce fear. All of those produce the feeling of being stuck. And the outcome of those is you don't move forward. The outcome is you just kind of stay stuck and you cower and you play small. Whereas if you could change those thoughts to, okay, what new opportunity is in front of me now? Or how can I show up and serve my clients right now? Or what is a new way that we can run our business right now that we were not able to before? Or even, hey, now that I have some extra time, what is something that I've always wanted to do or work on in my business that I haven't had the time for yet? And what those new thoughts are going to create, they're going to create new feelings. They're going to create feelings of maybe being excited, maybe feeling hopeful. They might create feelings of wanting to get back to work, of creativity, right? So really look at those things. And the important thing is, what's the new outcome that's going to happen? Because when you start to feel hopeful again, when you start to feel excited again, it produces new behavior. And that new behavior is going to produce a good result. And so that's what we're looking for. So what we're looking for is, how can we choose to look at change as opportunity? Okay, so here's the mindset shift, right? Here's the mindset shift. First of all, has anybody ever read the book, Who Moved My Cheese? Okay, this is a cute little book. I think I probably read it 15, 20 years ago. It's a story, but it's all about different ways that you can look at change. If you're struggling with all this change right now, oh my gosh, get that book. I'm telling you, I'll put a link to it. And because you will recognize yourself. It's a story of these little mice in a maze, and they have to go out every day looking for cheese, and the cheese gets moved on them and it gets changed. And each of the different mice has a different reaction, a different response to it. And you get to see how these different reactions play out in the lives of these mice. So I'm going to challenge you as entrepreneurs, as leaders, as influencers. I'm going to challenge you to look at change as opportunity, right? How can you serve more people? How can you create a business you love even more? What if this is an opportunity to stop doing things you dislike, right? What if this is an opportunity to pivot in a way that's going to explode your business in a way you never could have seen coming before? One thing that I do want to encourage you guys to do is to download our free guide. We created a guide about resilience. I feel like resilience is such an important trait, such an important emotional trait for entrepreneurs to have, especially at times like this. Because here's the thing, you don't build resilience through good times. You don't. Like, good times and easy times are just good and easy. That's wonderful. You build resilience through hardship, through hard times, through doing difficult things. So this is an incredible opportunity to build resilience. So I want to invite you to go download. It's a free PDF. It's called The Resilient Entrepreneur. You can get it at eqforentrepreneurs.com/TRE guide. That stands for The Resilient Entrepreneur Guide, TRE guide, and we will put the link in the show notes. So I encourage you to check that out. Check out episode 19. We talk about resilience. It makes a huge difference. Okay, I want to talk now about some practical changes that you may be needing to make, or you might need to consider making. Okay, so since things are changing, let's change some things, but let's be intentional about it. This is a way that you create resilience. We talk about that in episode 19. We talk about when you control the things that you can control, it builds resilience. So let's look at a few areas that you do have control over, right? You don't have control over the economy. You don't have control over our political leaders. You don't have control over what the coronavirus is going to do or how it's spreading or anything. You don't have any of that control, but we do have control over certain things. And you build resilience and emotional stability when you control the things you control. Here's a few of them. Number one, how about taking care of your health? Do you need to change something to get the sleep, to get the exercise, the vitamins, the healthy food that you need? Are you taking care of your own mental health, right? So what does that look like? Do you need to make changes there? Maybe you do, maybe you don't, but it's a great question to be asking. How about changes in your finances? And personal budgeting is more important now than ever. If you have not been tracking in the past with your personal budget, this is a great opportunity to learn and to get started. From a personal budgeting, what we're talking to people about is, listen, what do you need to cut back? This is the time to cut out some stuff that has been frivolous, that is not, like we're talking about essential and non-essential workers. How about your dollars, seeing your dollars as workers? Which of those workers are essential in your budget, and which of those workers are now non-essential and they need to be cut out? So do that so that you can set some money aside and give yourself some security, give yourself some cushion. Hopefully you've been doing that, but if you haven't, I would start now. And remember that in your personal budget, you always want to take care of the basics first. You always want to make sure you're taking care of food, shelter, utilities, and transportation. Those are, as Dave Ramsey calls it, the four walls of your house. So do you need to make any changes so that you can take care of those four walls of your house first and foremost? Okay, how about some changes in your family? Okay, so do you need to make any adjustments to your schedule, to your daily schedule? Maybe you're working from home now. Maybe your children are home. What does that need to look like? How about family connections? Is there anything that you need to do to increase family connections? I'll give you a few for our family. what our family loves to, we love to watch movies, right? And so one of the ways that we love to just connect at the end of a day is to all cuddle up on the couch. We call it a family pile because we all kind of cuddle up on there, and we love to just watch movies together. It's something that we enjoy doing. We also recently ordered. It's an online game. It's called Hunt a Killer, and it sounds terrible, but it's this fun little game that you get. It's like Clue. You guys remember the Clue game, the old game Clue? My daughter loves that. And so we got this to Hunt a Killer, and it's got like 6 different episodes or boxes that come in the mail, and they each have clues, and you have to go through and figure out what the weapon was and who the suspects were and eliminate the suspects. But it was just something fun that we did, a change that we made so that we could have more connection with our daughter during a time that's been stressful for all of us, her included. So what can that look like for your family? Do you need to make any changes in your work, in your business? And for a lot of people, you're probably looking at starting a side hustle now, because I tell you what, it's become more and more evident to everybody that we need to diversify our income, that we need multiple streams of income, that we need something that we have control over, even if we lose control over other things. So what does that need to look like for you if it applies? Now, for those of you who already have a business, do you need to start doing something? Do you need to stop doing something? How and in what ways can you pivot, right? What new opportunities are presenting themselves to you right now? And here's the thing, if you're caught up in being stuck, if you're caught up in looking at change as a threat, you're going to miss the opportunities. You absolutely will. I have always heard that it's during times of depression and recession and economic downturn that some of the greatest businesses are born, because people were open for new opportunity, because people were able to embrace change as opportunity rather than seeing it as threat. And so they were able to see the opportunity around them and take advantage of it. So when you're faced with the reality of the need to change, here's a few questions you can ask yourself to work through this, okay? What can I learn? And by the way, you guys, we are making a journal page for almost all of our big episodes. Our big episodes come out on Mondays. We've got smaller episodes that come out on Thursdays. But for almost all of our big episodes, we do a journal page so that you can print it off and work through these. Here's the deal. You're not going to develop emotional intelligence just by listening to us talk. It's not going to happen. You're going to have to do some work. You're going to have to put in the time and some self-reflection and do the work for you. And that's why we make these journal pages so that you can print it off. We make a new one every big episode, and you get to go in there and write some stuff down, right? After listening to the episode, go write it down, make it applicable to you. And I'm telling you, that's how you see leaps and bounds of growth in your emotional intelligence. So if you want the journal notes for this episode, go to EQ4Entrepreneurs /21. That's the number 21, because this is episode 21. You can get the journal page for this episode. Okay, so here's some questions. What can I learn? What can I learn through this time of change? What can I do differently? What can I observe? What do I need to stop doing? What do I need to do differently? What do my clients need right now? What are my clients feeling right now? How can I best meet their need? What technology is available to me? What is something I've always wanted to do that the timing is now right for? So there you go, guys. A whole new way to look at change. Again, get the journal notes, EQ4Entrepreneurs.com/21. Go download the Resilient Entrepreneur, and we'd love to invite you to the 360 Growth Week. That's going to be happening April 13 through 17. EQ4Entrepreneurs.com/360 Growth Week. You guys have a wonderful week. We'll talk to you soon.